Good day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Totally the Toad and I'm finally back with another video. And this video has been months and months and months in the making, because I thought it was going to be a fairly easy project. Turned out it wasn't. So you're gonna see that when I start out, I tried to do more of a tutorial style video, but then I lose all confidence because I realize that this is very difficult, so it will sort of turn more and more chaotic. So the video is about the making of this dress. Yeah, so you can see here I got the pattern once again from Black Snail's pattern, and it's a 1840s day dress. And I figured that would be a nice dress to just wear around the house, look so comfortable. And you know, I've looked at this for so long and I wanted to do it for so long. So here's a video of how I kind of made that dress. Let's get into it. I have actually started on making the dress by printing out all of the pattern pieces and typing them together. This took forever. It was not fun. It was not fun at all. Anyway, so the fabric that we've got is this, and as you can see, this is actually an old bedsheet, and it's not particularly old because I bought it recently. And I'm just gonna place all of the pattern pieces on it and cut them out, and then we can actually get started. Just start off by basting the lining to the back with a nice, very visible colored thread. I use really long running stitches to do this, and I think that's what's normally done. Now we tackle the side back pieces, which are also basted into place and stitched down with a small back stitch, because this will be visible. Nice. So nice. Then we need to create a bunch of piping. This is done by folding over strips cut on the bias, and then you insert some yarn or some thread between, and you do a long running stitch just to keep it in place. This will be stitched down later, so you don't need to be too neat. Now grab that piping and attach it to the top of the backside and through the arms or the shoulder seams, and don't forget to clip the corners. Now grab the front of the lining, do a double fold and just whip it in place. It should look something like this, and now you can turn it back to the front side and add a row of running stitches or back stitches 1 centimeter from the front. Then add some eyelet hole. You can hand work these, or you can just use metal eyelets. Do whatever feels comfortable. Now it's time to tackle the dart of the lining. Just squish it together and sew some back stitches to keep it in place, and then start working on the shoulders. Just gather up the front fabric, the main fabric of the front, gather it up nicely and attach it to the lining, again using back stitches. Now we're at the fashion fabric side front, and first baste the other piece in place. It will make it easier. Then grab some more piping and again, you guessed it, backstitch in place. Now we attach the front to the back shoulder seams. Nicely done! And now we get to the point of the video where everything goes wrong, and you'll soon find out why. And now we come to the first point of the video where I actually feel the need to talk properly. Because I tried this on and I realized that it's very tight, too tight, so tight in fact that I wouldn't be able to close it. And I was surprised, since I tried it on the mannequin, it seemed to be fine, maybe on the tighter side, but still fine. So then I looked at the pattern itself again, and I read the instructions again, and I realized that it says that the seam allowance of 1.5 centimeters is included everywhere except where specified. And I looked at this piece again, and it says seam allowance 3 centimeters. It says this on 2 pieces, and for some reason I assumed that meant that here there is 3 cm seam allowance instead of the usual 1.5. That's not what it means. It means that for some reason here you need to add seam allowance of 3 cm. I don't get why they do that. This is why you really shouldn't add the seam allowance to the pattern, because it's very easy to miss like I did. I do have enough fabric to cut out just wide strips of it and add to the seam, which is what I will do. Piecing is period, this is going to be fine. It's just very annoying to have this extra step, which I really shouldn't have had. I also just want to point out really quickly that there is a slight issue on the inside here. This is where the neck connects to the front, and everywhere here it is nicely felled, but then you get here. I don't know if it's visible on the camera, but there's just some space here where it was impossible to fold it, to fell it properly. So I've tried just doing a few stitches to keep it in place, but it's potentially going to be problematic if I wash this in a machine, which ideally I would want to. Some piping to the bottom of the lining. You can see the boning already in place. I removed that later, so you can add it if you want, but I removed it just to be able to wash it. Grab the skirt and add 3 lines of gathering stitches. This is to make it easier to make these very nice cartridge pleats. We only have 12% of battery, so we'll do this quickly. I haven't filmed in a while because my boyfriend's been home and it's awkward AF. But I have finished one of the sides and it was very weird, and I'm not sure if I did it correctly. So there's this weird overlap here where one side is on the outside of the skirt and the other side is on the inside. Don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, and I redid it a few times. So what we need to do is grab the other side and do the same thing. I thought I was going to fell this, so I have felled it already. That was wrong, so I need to unpick this first. And then somehow get it on the other side of this place and stitch it down. It was bad enough the first time, I don't think it will be better this time. I just realized I did all of these tiny gathers wrong. I was supposed to gather it to this point, but I only did it to this point. Which means I have to unpick all of these tiny gathers and redo the entire thing. Lovely. I have changed so much about this pattern now that I feel I must talk about it. Firstly, we've gotten this far, and it says to attach 2 drawstrings here, so we can just pull this tight. The problem that I had continuously with this is that this part here kept peeking up, and there's no mentions of closure anywhere, so this is just supposed to be draped, and I thought that's gonna be difficult to get nice when you do it quickly, and I didn't quite see the appeal. So instead what I've done, or what I'm going to do, is, as you can see here, take this down about 5 centimeters. So, it's taken me almost 3 weeks to almost complete the other side of this dress, because I've just been sick to and from and I haven't had the energy at all to work. Finally now I feel like maybe I can start getting back into things, hopefully. So I have done, let's see, this part I've just cartridge pleated really neatly, and then I've added like light gathering up here, which I've stitched in place. It doesn't look great, but it's maybe okay. On the other side I have just cartridge pleated the bottom here and stitched that in place, and I'm considering if I should just try to remove this basting stitch
and see what happens. And if it looks okay, I'll just remove these stitches here because I'm not sure about them. I'm worried about one thing, and I think it's obvious. It's this gapy bit right here. For some reason, this doesn't want to like line nicely here. So I'm hoping that if I put one closure just here, that will sort of hold this together, that will solve it. But we'll see. Right now it also looks slightly uneven, which I don't know why. But yeah. So I think once we've done that, we can try what closing method we want. Right now I'm just leaning towards hooks and eyes, but we'll see. I am worried. I've been working at this dress. As you can see, I have finished both of the sides. It's not really even, and on one side I had to let this part out. But I think it's okay. I don't think you notice it that much, just because it's very ruffled. Houston, we have a problem. A big problem. Or rather, a small problem. The sleeves, there's something very wrong with them, and I don't know what. And my guru friend who also sews, don't know what. And this has stalled this project for months, which is so annoying because otherwise I think this dress would be so comfy to wear around the house. But I can't even point because it's so tight. Down here you can see the shoulder seam. Yeah, you can see the shoulder seam, and I know that this period tended to have like rather far out shoulder seams. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be really off shoulder, because it is on me right now. I can't really pull it higher because it's so tight. If I just sit like very properly, it's okay. I don't normally do that though, but I can't reach my arms more forward than this or I will rip it. I can't move them above my head or I will rip it. So something is wrong, because I should be able to move my arms comfortably. And if we look here, there's a huge gap right here of material. So it does seem to me like it should be further up on the arm, but I can't. So I'm gonna look over the pattern once again to see if I have missed seam allowance somewhere again. Otherwise I don't know what to do. I guess I could maybe add like a gusset. If I have fabric enough for that. I don't know. But this is really annoying because I've worked on this for so long. I took out the seam allowance on this side, so it's more like centimeter, half a centimeter-ish. And that seems to have fixed some of it. I mean, it doesn't feel as big, and I have better mobility. But right here, it's still very tight. And maybe just taking this out a little will help. But I'm not entirely sure, because it does feel tight all the way up to the spot where the arm side meet the arm. Then we have this situation, which is the bottom. I don't like how this looks. I mean, I liked it in the pictures, but I don't like it in real life. I think what I will do is I will cut somewhere here and remove this piece and then add cuffs back in. We only have 2 more steps to do and then the dress will be done. It is fixing the cuffs and hemming the skirt. Now for the cuffs I have started by doing this. So I have simply made 2 little loops out of white, out of purple embroidery thread, and then I made buttonhole stitches all around them. So it's not very neat, but it will work. And then I attached 2 little buttons to the other side, and I think that will be okay. It'll look fine. I didn't have a matching set of threads, but at this point I do not care. I just want to get this done. here she is. Let's talk about her. Oh, sorry. The first thing is really not about the dress, it's about me. I forgot to mirror the sleeves, so I have the gathering of the sleeves, I should say. So they are on the same side on both of the sleeves, and that's obviously not right. I think this side is correct, and this side is incorrect. That's not the pattern, that's just me being silly. There's also the piping situation. They want you to add so much piping into this. Like, all of the seams should have piping. I think this is a very period thing, but I think that when I tried to hem it, it sort of added a lot of bulk, and it made it very difficult for me to hem it properly. And I'm sure that this is just a technique thing that I didn't get, but I changed it because of that. So I added piping a lot at the beginning, but then I was just no. And then there was also the things that I changed because I didn't understand the pattern. So I'm not great at sewing. I think I've gotten much better, but there were a lot of things that I just didn't understand how to do right. So for instance, the sleeves. I changed the way the cuffs were made so many times, because there was supposed to be 3 lines of like piping rows, sort of, and then a pipe that sort of went around all of the opening here. And for me, it just ended up looking not very neat and very bulky, and I didn't like the look. So I ended up just attaching like regular cuffs that I've done plenty of times before. And don't think that is the pattern's fault, that's just I didn't get how to do it properly, but I changed it because of it. There are also some other things with the pattern that I didn't necessarily change, but I found very difficult. So I'm not sure if I actually mentioned this while I was filming, because I was so fed up with this project. And it's the area where this front here connects, how to explain this, how the skirt connects to the front and the side, because I'm not sure if you can see it properly on this. Where it attaches here is in front of the bodice, but where it attaches here is behind the bodice. So you sort of had to switch suddenly, and I'm sure there's a specific way to do this that I didn't get from the pattern, and that's probably again just me and my skill level, but for me it's not very neat, and it made it very difficult to hem it properly. And since this is a very fraying, like prone to fray fabric, not ideal. Just I also have this, that it's very wide up here, so this sort of goes out a lot and it doesn't fit me properly. I don't think that's the pattern's fault again. I think it's just because I didn't know how to correct it and how to fit it to me properly. There's something about the whole arm side situation, where that's situated and how big it is, that doesn't work. So what do I think about the dress now that I have it? I don't think I will wear this a lot, to be honest. I like the fabric, I like the color. It's a very soft fabric, and I think if I had fixed the arm size situation, I think it would have been very comfortable to just wear around the house. But this wide thing here, it doesn't look particularly flattering on me. I have a fairly short torso, and I am rather short, so having this much bulk here that's not, very clearly separated, it just makes me look very poofy. I think if I would change something, I probably would have made this smaller, so it would have been more of maybe that wide, to give it more of a V shape that you see a lot in these types of dresses. Overall, I am glad I finished it. I am very glad I stuck through it and I managed to get a dress that is sort of wearable, not the most comfortable one, but sort of wearable, and that I didn't give up. And I did learn a bunch just from doing this and from, you know, learning from my mistake. I hope this video was at least fun to watch and that maybe you learned something as well. And until next time, bye.
That känns så här awkward. I am blind.
I'm coming back. Vinka till kameran.